Here we go. So the idea is every color is affected by the colors around it, and it changes how we see things. If we go through this, please know this is Albers, okay, Joseph Albers, and you can choose your color if you want to. You can use an interactive color wheel, control click. I'll open this link. And I love interactive color wheels. We are in, oh my God, I hate this. Hold on a second. So we want to get out of that and we want to come here. So this is the Adobe. There are a lot of color wheels out there that are interactive. And what it does is these give you a across the board idea of color theory. We have analogous, which is colors close together. Can you see that? You can move them and it changes the colors that are, and it gives you the f-stop color, the hexadecimal color, which you can copy and paste into your system. But also under there, we have analogous, we have monochromatic, which is one color. Do you see that? Which is adding black or white. You have a triad, which is complementary colors, but what it is it's on either side of the complementary. So complementary will be completely opposite, right? A triad softens the complementary because it has a vibration to it. So on the idea of the prism of the color, it'll make it a softer. They're really good for popping colors and pushing colors. So you often use a triad, which is either color on the opposite to the actual complementary color, right? And the beauty about this is complementary, opposite in the color wheel, and you just move this around, right? And you can make it light or dark. This gives you the amount of dark. You can stretch it out or push it in. You can stretch this out, right? You can scroll it round. So bottom line is that's the complementary, opposite on the color wheel. And you can do split complementary, another one, which is closer than the triad. So I gave you one of these here, and there are plenty of them. I like Palatine. I think that's right. You can choose whichever Palatine. And this one I like. Oh, God, I'll just accept. Because this is a monochromatic, which is all of the same color, right? This will give you split complementary, and it actually gives you a little bit more visual understanding of how the colors are affected around them. All right, that's the split complement, that's the triad, and that's the four. So this gives you a good idea. And the beauty about this is it gives you the numbers, the hexadecimal numbers. So that's a really good thing to know, interactive. The first one you're going to turn in, remember, is you've got 3 by 3 inch squares with 2 by 2 inch squares inside. This one is the same as that one. I would prefer them to be stacked one on top of each other. And you will notice how the orange looks bluer there and how they are referenced to each other. This square looks smaller, this square comes forward. The reason this looks smaller is it's because of cooler color and the yellow. Meanwhile, the yellow pops forward, right? Then you're going to submit your screenshot on Canvas. And then you're going to do the same thing that we always do, which is to do with Padlet. And you have to post your own as well as comment on 3 other people's work. So that takes us to, we can get rid of Palatine. All right, this is the final letter, square, and logo. You are to create 6 different logos using 1 font, 1 letter, and 6 different color combinations. That would be my preference. You have to name the size of the typeface that you've used. Now, Pantone is really difficult, so you can find the Pantone. You know the hexadecimal, 2 hexadecimal colors. If you can find the Pantone, they actually used to do it as a external app, which you can get, which can be applied. But it's, you know, to catch it, it should pull up the Pantone. You just have to hunt for it. If you don't, you're not going to be downgraded for it. So the objective, an introduction to the basics of Adobe Illustrator, typography, outlines, cutting, sizing, reshaping, Pathfinder, color swatches, align, and font faces. You're going to have an introduction to the fundamentals of color, of type, font face, font size, and font spacing. Introduction to the process of critical thinking and concept visualization, which means the letter you use must reflect who you are. This is your logo. All right. So this is your logo. It is descriptive of you. Unfortunately, nobody really listens to me. I want just one letter is my preference. How the letter sits in the space is really important. Your negative space, the area around the object, is just as important as the positive. For example, you will notice that this little shape here creates a shape and it takes us away from the fact that it is a letter, right? So you're starting to play with abstraction, which I think is how the best logos work. I'm not great with repetition. This one works only because it looks like a flower. Is the person floral? Well, I would, or why are they using that letter? I want you to describe why you are using the letter. If you put the N on the right, left-hand side, down the bottom, it says something very different than if it is poking up the top on the bottom right-hand corner. This person used multiple. It's okay. It's not what I asked for. D. This is not a great one. You must use one letter. So this is sort of showing you that it doesn't really work with two letters, right? Same hand in. These are your finals. So please note, there are topics, modules, everything for you at the bottom here. How to, Padlet, Pathfind, your participation, your portfolio. All the links are there. So this is the process. Letter is a noun. A letter is a noun. A written or printed communication addresses to a person or organization and usually transmitted by name. Not what we're doing. A symbol or character that is conventionally used in writing and printing to represent a speech sound, and that is part of the alphabet, a particular style of type. Here are all the activities to take you through. I'm going to work you through them, and if you click on any of these, it'll take you and show you how to do the select techniques that I'm going through today. Right? Any questions? Nope. All right. Let's get rid of that. Now, this is just something I want to show you that is, we will add to it. So this is, if you have a look here, there's certain things that you have to pay attention to. You will need your Pathfinder and you will need your swatches palette, right? You will need your layers palette, which we can scroll up, as you can see, if I can find it. There we go. And you will also, I'll just pop them down here and get them out of the way, need your character. The character panel is interesting simply because you can come here and you can choose any which character you want. You can see I've selected that I want to see all the letters in caps. You can come over here. You can do select text. You can come over here, do typography as a word, or you can do the glyphs if you're looking for glyphs, or you can do Roger Hungry and 36 Peaches, right? Or you can simply see what it looks like if you scroll down there. Okay? This is Helvetica. The reason I often choose Helvetica just as a sample to start with is because it has light, oblique. If you choose one typeface, that means you have the option of using all the different varieties within that typeface. That's just showing you Helvetica. This is the type size. This is what's called leading, and it's the distance between two letters. For example, we have A, and then I can click and it's A again. So if I have two A's, as you can see, I can click here, I can select them, right? And if I reduce, that's enlarging, or I can simply reduce. This is very good as you get into further typography. It is important. We will not be using it today, but it is important to know that the way letting is set up is default, right, by the actual computer, and it doesn't always work, particularly when text gets a bit bigger. When text, gets a bit bigger. This is the distance between the letters. This is the difference between the words. This is the distance between the letters. This is stretching it, which you will not be using. That is increasing it horizontally. And then you get these, what is called subscript and superscript. So those are those little things when you're trying to reference something and you're doing, look at number 1 and you go down at the bottom of the page and there's a little 1 and 1 says written by John Smith. All right. What you will be using is this one here. That's it. But I've just given you the rundown. All right. So here is our starting point. Okay. This is what will be expected of you. I'm just going to push that up a little, see if it'll allow me to do it. We'll get it out of the way for the moment. Okay, this is the first assignment that I went through last class, which is the 3 boxes, 3 different color combinations, 6 different colors, showing you how they look inside and outside, right? I don't think this one is centered, to tell you the truth, so I can come here and I can shift click this one here. I go up to my align and I make sure, if I pull that out, I can't see it because of the sharing. Oh my gosh, that's so irritating. I align it and I want to align them in the center. And now I know it's centered. Do you see how that wasn't centered? Right? And I knew it. I don't know that this one is. You click, shift click, and you go to your align and just make sure they're all centered. That one's centered. All right. If I want to make sure that they stay together, I go up to my object and I group it. There it is. That means I can now, Command Z, hit Shift. It should be, I'll do both. There we go. It should have them both. Let's hope it does. Don't know. And I should object. It should group it. Let's see if it works now. Yep, there it is. All right. So you have to align everything. Align, 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 align. And you use this align, or you can go under your window and pull it up as a panel and you get a line here. Either way, right? Okay. So we make a new artboard. This I showed you how to you have to do 6 different color combinations, 6 different ways. What is important, as I have said time and time again, is that how the object sits on the little square is really important. That little squiggle here looks very different than that very bold big G, which is losing the fact that it is a G. I want to see different sizes, different shapes, and you have to write down what size and shape the font is, right? We want to play with your negative space. Here, notice that the circle and the red, they flip. So when something, particularly here, where you look at it and you're not sure what comes forward. I know what comes forward here. This one, I'm not sure if the background comes forward or if that light blue is coming forward. They call this a balanced image. When you are working with logos and branding, often people use a balanced image because it plays with the eye and it increases people's interest in what you're doing, right? And then you have your American typewriter here. So let's say if I move that, that would be here and it would be there. That's the one I chose. And then I would do the actual color hexadecimal number. And remember, we did swatches last time. Any questions? Okay. So I'm going to do a new document. It's going to be not 8.5 by 11. The width is the width is going to be 11 and it's going to be 8.5 inches. Let's create it. There it is. Isn't that great? right? I click on my box. I'm going to double click here just to choose a color. We don't care. And I'm going to double click here. I'm going to do, now notice this, look what happens. It says it's not linked. That is linked. Not linked, linked, right? So I'm going to do 3 and it automatically changes them both to 3 and I click OK. 2 ways to do this. I can double click again and go OK, or I can option click and option click and move it across. Now, there is a problem here. Every single one of these, seems to be moving around. Every single one of these, right, actually has an outline, a stroke. See, it says stroke. I don't want stroke. How do I get rid of the stroke? I can click there to get rid of it, right? I don't want to see strokes on anything, and that includes the squares from before. I can also get it by clicking there and then clicking there. Okay, I click here. I can click none. I click there and I can click none. So I'm going to minus this down a little bit, pull my screen up. Hopefully it'll work. All right, I can put my color right over here. And here are my boxes. So we have, I hope this is 1, 2, 3, and then 1. Now, I want my grid to show. So I'm going to go to my view. Boop, 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 boop. Show grid. I went through the grid last time. Remember, you can change your grid by going to your settings and go to your grids and guides. That will change the size of the grid. At the moment, it's every 1 inch and it's split into 2 divisions. I can come here and I can simply change it to 4 if I wanted 4. So that it's going to be every 0.25. And look, it's now in 5. We don't in lots of 4. We don't want that. What we actually want is that because we're using just basic 3 inches by 3 inches, I can go back to my Illustrator. I go back to my Illustrator, settings, grids and guides, and I'm going to go down to 2. Okay. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my view. I'm going to go down the bottom here and I'm going to snap to the grid. So I actually wanted my squares snapping to the grid because it'll make it line up a lot easier. All right. So I'm going to make sure if I move this over, do you see how it automatically snaps? Whoop, whoop. That's just automatically doing it for me. I'm going to leave a bit of space. That means I can pop that down there and pop that one in there. Now, I want these to be aligned correctly. So what I would probably do is select them all, go to my line just to make sure, and align it to the top, right? So now they are all aligned. I'm going to double click here. I go back over here, double click, choose a different color, do it a little like that. I'm going to click there, double click, and I'm going to do yellow. Okay, I'm going to do a dark color. Okay. Now remember, we talked about blacks. We never want a flat black. We want a black that has a touch of another color in because we know that warm colors come forward and cool colors recede. So you can also use that with your designs. Please note, this is the number that you can copy from your interactive color palette. Okay. Now, once I've got this, right, I go to my swatches. I can bring up my swatches palette and I can come here. I've got that selected and I can create a new swatch. And I'm going to call this yellow black. All right. I go, okay. Okay. And you will notice it's already turned up here. Come here. I'm going to double click here and I'm going to choose a little bit of a different color. so it's not a flat red. I go okay, I go to my swatches palette, I click over here on this part of the menu bar, and I go new swatch, and I go reddish. Good choice, Angela, right? So you do the rest for the other two. So that's how you make a swatch. So that's the color that you know, right? So we're looking really good. Now, at the moment, I don't want to see the grid because it's just distracting me. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to go view. I'm going to roll down and I'm going to hide my grid right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I can go to my layers, right? Sorry, that's the dog. It wasn't anything. And I'm just to keep everything working within what I needed, I am going to come here and I'm going to add a layer. All right. At the moment, I'm just going to lock that. So I've decided, here's my letters. I go to my character that I'm going to do a W this time. I'm going to build it up so everybody can see it. So I'm going to do it at 140. And I'm not going to do the default, which is Myriad Pro. I'm going to come here and I am going to do, and it's showing me, you can see it showing me, right? I'll pull this over so you can see a bit better. It'll show what the letter looks like. I want a bit of a, I'm going to say a serif, which is with the squiggly things. So a serif is that G that has a squirrel on it, squiggle on it. I like Baskerville. Let's do a Baskerville because we can. Okay, and I'm going to do a W. All right, pretty boring. That'll do. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do I'll do a W. Okay, so I have my W. It's in this black color, right? It also shows me that the type is black up here with no stroke. We don't want a stroke. All right. And I'm going to come up here and I can come here and maybe I'll choose, doesn't matter, this color here. All right. So I've got my letter and I'm putting it in this space. How it sits. Now I'm feeling very bold and boring. So if I set this, it's snapping to the grid. Can you see that? So I can't center it. So what I'm going to have to do is go to my view and I'm going to have to take off snap to grid, right? I can click here and I can actually unlock that and I can shift click that box and I can use my align, right? And I can come here and let me try and find it. Beep, 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 beep. There it is. And that will center it in the middle. Do you see that? And that'll center it in the middle that way. So that actually centers it. It doesn't center it completely because it is centering it to the baseline. All right. It's actually not centering it to the actual shape. So the baseline, if I got the type tool, right, and I double clicked, the baseline is the line that runs at the bottom of each letter of the lowercase letter. Okay. So how do you want this to sit in the box? Do I want it there? Do I want it just poking in down there, which says something very different? Do I want to, Command Z, that's why I'm going to lock this. You can choose to do that. I can rotate it. I can angle it, right? However you want it. I can do it upside down, and that is very different. Like if I got this, I held shift, that'll keep it straight. I'll move it down. The W is now, as you can see, two little mountains, all like that. All right. The issue is if I wanted to do it like that, I'm going to hold the shift key and I'm actually going to blow it up. Now, the shift key, Command Z, right, means that it keeps the type true to this proper shape. I don't want to see any stretching or whooshing or anything. I want to see the integrity of the letter held to what it should be. So here's my V. Now, if I do something like this, I have to pay attention to the corners, but it also changes what the relationship of the letter to the actual box. Okay, so here we have it. It's looking good, right? I want that part, or maybe I'll even just do that. Who knows, right? And I need to get rid of the rest of the shape of the letter. You can do nothing. You can't use Pathfinder, right? Until you create it as an object. So if I have this letter, the only way to create it as an object is to go Type, Create Outlines. Now, that means this is now a shape. And the way I can show you it's a shape is because if I click on it, if I blow it up, you can now see that it has all these points. I click on that point and you can expand. You're not going to do this, but that's how I know it's a shape. And that means you can start to play with these anchor points, right? I don't want to see that. That's just showing you, right? Now that it is an actual object, I can now use the Pathfinder tool to create, to get rid of the outside of the object. Okay, so I'm on here, right? Let's have a look. I'm going to come here over to the box rectangular. I'm going to click. It's 3 inches by 3 inches. I'm going to change the color. Okay. I'm actually going to change the color to green. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I've got this, whoa, Command Z, sorry. I have this shape, right? Snap it with that one. I could do it with that one. And in actual fact, what I'm going to do, there it is there. I'm going to shift click and click the letter. I go to my Pathfinder and look what I do. Take it out. That takes the letter out, which is the wrong side. Command Z. What I have to do is I come here, Object, and I've done it back to front, Arrange. I want to bring my font to the front. Bring it to the front, right? Come here. Come on, buddy. Bring it to the front. Object, Arrange, bring to the front. There it is. Shift click the green box, and then I do it there. And so now I have the shape with the black background. Do you see that? Okay. Glad everybody saw that. I will do it again. Okay. Click here, do a G. There's my sans serif, right? Which is that squiggly G. Come here, move it down, right? I'm going to now unlock it, right? And we're going to use this square and you'll see the difference. So with this one, I think I just want to, I'm going to go to my character and I'm going to go to 50. All right. I'm going to move it up here. I'm going to turn it. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my type. I'm going to create outlines. There we are. I'll blow it up. Right? I click this. I shift click this behind me. Right? I go to my Pathfinder and I take it out. If I don't want the white, what do? I can simply come here. Now you'll notice, look, it's in the top one. I'll come back here. And what I will do to the bottom layer, if I take that off, we get the back layer there. It takes it off because that's a white, right? So my type was white, right? Now, what I'm going to do is go to this bottom line. I'm going to lock that. I'm going to blow it down. I'm going to come here, double click. I'm going to choose a red. I'm going to use a red. All right, it's a hot color, right? I'm going to go back to the box. I'm going to click. Now we want it linked. 3. Come on. 3. Oh, come on. Cancel. Double click. There we go. It should be doing it. I'm going to unlink it. And 3. Hit OK. And I now move it behind here. This is the issue. I want to show you something while we're doing it. Because they are very similar in value, right? We've selected both like that. Oh, can't do it. Click, shift, and then we go to our line and make sure our line opens. And we, Command Z. Come on, buddy. It's aligning to the top of the page. So I click that and the bottom, and it should be shift clicking, and it's not going to show it. So I'm going to align in the center. Oh my God, I've got something selected. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Should be pathfinding. Should be aligning, but there's a glitch at the moment and it's not. There it goes. And that should be aligned there. Now, this is a bit of color theory for you people. Do you see how hard it is to see that red box there? It says it red, and it's because if you squint your eyes, it's the value, the amount of light the object absorbs. So if I actually did it lighter, do you see how by changing the light, the value, that's the amount of light the color absorbs, that you actually change how you can read the text? Does that make sense to everybody? How's everybody? Are we good? Are we understand now, right? Yes.
I had a quick question. So, because I'm trying to figure out the grids, I saw that you did like it's
Is this Tyler?
Yeah.
Do you do the assignment while I'm doing it? So you're just doing the assignment while I'm doing
Yeah,
it?
I'm doing the assignment right now. I was just trying to figure out like the grids.
What, you want to know about the grid? How to use the grid?
Well, it's not so much how to use it. It's so much trying to like get to this because I'm in the previous Zoom that I remembered, you went to like some settings and preference, but I was trying to figure out how to get to it on my Windows.
Very easy. I showed it this time too. So you go to your window, Illustrator, settings, guides and grids. There it is, guides and grids. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? So just out of interest sake, before the classes, we cover everything. This little icon here is your artboard. Remember how we did our artboard? You just click and drag. This here looks too big, as you can see, right? It looks too big. It's a bit squishy. So what you have to do is this is the size of the artboard. So we want it 11 and this 8.5. There's your artboard, right? Then you simply, where's our artboard? Come on, buddy. Move it down, right? There it is. Okay, any questions? There's one thing that I want to show you at the same time is part of your project is to actually bring up the font book app. And the font book app is a separate app which is available to you. So if when I'm looking for these apps, I go to what is available and I simply search, and I went font and it shows me font book, double click that and it brings up. You have to take a screenshot with this because this will show you, if you come down here, you can select anything, any of these typefaces, all the fonts. And if you double click, it'll show you exactly what is available. And I just need a screenshot that as part of your screenshot. All right. Any questions? Any questions? Oh, God. No? Are we good? Are we good? Torrance, have you've videoed it, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll see you next week and we'll start with Commandala, which is going to be very exciting. We're near the end.
Right.
Thomas, you look worried. Is it good? Are you good?
Good.
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. 6, are you okay? Okay. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you. I'll see you
You too.
next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye-bye.